Tonight, breaking news, the U.S. barreling toward a government shutdown. Just hours away, the shutdown set for midnight if there's no congressional agreement on funding. Both parties tonight pointing the finger at the other. President Trump threatening to fire federal workers. Democrats say they want Medicaid cuts restored and to keep health insurance premiums from going up for millions. Tonight, the U.S. military's top brass summoned to Quantico, Virginia, 800 top officers. Secretary Hegseth outlining his vision for them, what's now expected of military leaders, talking about the highest male standard only for those who serve in the U.S. military. Then President Trump on stage saying, if you don't like what I'm saying, leave the room, adding, of course, there goes your rank. The president saying he's told Secretary Hegseth we should use some dangerous cities as training grounds for the military. Tonight, homes collapsing into the ocean, powerful waves slamming parts of the East Coast. A very rare scenario, two hurricanes right off the coast, so close together. Lee Goldberg tonight on this rare Fujiwara effect, feeding off each other, and the new track tonight where they're headed. Tonight, the chilling new clues after the deadly shooting and fire set at a Michigan church. What we've now learned tonight about that suspect. Authorities say he once dated a woman of Mormon faith. They broke up, and what he said after returning from Utah. Tonight, prosecutors telling the judge they want Sean Combs to serve more than a decade in prison. What defense attorneys are saying about that. Tonight, take a close look at this actor. And now, the growing backlash tonight. The actor AI generated, created by artificial intelligence, and now looking for work. There are many opinions on this. Tonight, the famous couple breaking up. Actress Nicole Kidman filing for divorce from her husband, country music star Keith Urban. Kidman and what she reveals in her filing. The controversy over the woman who appears to snatch Patrick Mahomes' headband from a child. It has gone viral, and what's happened now? And America Strong tonight, the grandson and what he was determined to do with his grandfather. You won't believe what that grandson has brought to life.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening. We begin tonight here with the breaking news. The federal government barreling toward a shutdown set for midnight. Both parties blaming the other. President Trump tonight threatening to fire federal workers and to cut programs and benefits, saying he can do things that are irreversible. Tonight, Democrats say they want Medicaid cuts restored and to keep health insurance premiums from going up for millions. And Democrats say Republicans would rather shut the government down than protect the health care of the American people. Both sides tonight digging in with this shutdown now hours away, affecting millions of Americans. Rachel Scott leading us off tonight.
Tonight, with the government set to shut down at the stroke of midnight, President Trump now threatening to fire, quote, a lot of federal workers if Democrats don't back down.
We'd be laying off a lot of people that are going to be very affected.
But Democrats holding firm, demanding that Republicans reverse cuts to Medicaid and extend expiring Obamacare subsidies to prevent insurance premiums from rising for some 20 million Americans.
They'd rather shut the government down than protect the health care of the American people. That's unfathomable.
Today, the president turning up the pressure, now warning he could slash government programs.
We can do things during the shutdown that are irreversible, that are bad for them and irreversible by them, like cutting vast numbers of people out, cutting things that they like, cutting programs that they like.
He even floated the idea of cutting benefits without saying which ones.
We can do things medically and other ways, including benefits.
Tonight, I brought his words to Democratic Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer.
The president is now threatening these irreversible cuts to the workforce, to programs. Is that a risk that Democrats are willing to take?
It will fall on him, as I said. He's the one doing the firings, not Democrats.
Even without the fear of layoffs, if the shutdown happens, as many as 4 million federal employees could go unpaid. In Thompson, Illinois, that means prison officers already stretched thin, now pushed to the max.
We need the government to stay open so that we don't have to live off our credit cards, that we don't have to take multiple loans just to pay our mortgage, to pay our daily necessities.
And families of roughly 2 million service members could feel the pinch too. Jamie Billard, whose husband is in the Coast Guard, is preparing to tell her kids they'll have to scale back on things like dinners out and picture day at school.
What do we set as a priority? Your dad's not getting paid right now. That's our sole source of income. You know, I said no because there's bigger things happening here.
David, Senate Republicans forced to vote on a bill to keep the government funded, but Democrats overwhelmingly rejected it because it did not include any of their demands. So tonight, all signs are pointing toward a government shutdown in just a few hours, David.
Just hours from now, Rachel Scott leading us off. Rachel, thank you. Tonight, the U.S. military's top brass summoned to Quantico, Virginia, 800 top officers. Secretary Hegseth outlining his vision, what's now expected of those military leaders, and talking about the highest male standard only for all of those who serve in the U.S. military. Then President Trump on stage, the president saying he has told Secretary Hegseth we should use some dangerous cities as training grounds for our military. Here's Martha Raddatz.
In an unprecedented meeting, which the former Weekend Fox and Friends host broadcast live, Secretary Pete Hegseth warning hundreds of combat-tested generals, admirals, and senior officers flown in from around the world that the military under his leadership will be dramatically changed.
No more identity months, DEI offices, dudes in dresses. No more climate change worship. No more division, distraction, or gender delusions. No more debris. We are done with that.
While the generals and admirals sat largely silent through the speech, Hegseth said military fitness and standards will be enforced. No more fat generals or admirals, he said.
I don't want my son serving alongside troops who are out of shape, or in combat unit with females who can't meet the same combat arms physical standards as men.
For those ground combat roles, which women have been performing for more than a decade, the high male standard will now be the norm.
If that means no women qualify for some combat jobs, so be it.
And Hegseth defending the firing of more than a dozen senior officers, including the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, C.Q. Brown, and the head of the Navy, Lisa Franchetti.
For too long, we've promoted too many uniformed leaders for the wrong reasons, based on their race, based on gender quotas, based on historic so-called firsts.
But Hegseth was not just talking personnel, but policy. The rules of engagement meant to protect civilians and non-combatants, those, he said, have become too politically correct.
We also don't fight with stupid rules of engagement. We untie the hands of our warfighters to intimidate, demoralize, hunt, and kill the enemies of our country.
President Trump then took the stage to address the officers.
And if you don't like what I'm saying, you can leave the room. Of course, there goes your rank, there goes your future.
Telling his audience of some of the most experienced warfighters in a generation, the military should practice on American cities.
I told Pete we should use some of these dangerous cities as training grounds for our military.
And David, I am told that many of the officers in the audience were especially jarred by those remarks about training in American cities. Others say they are now thinking about where their red lines are, because David Hegseth made clear that if they don't like what they are hearing from him, they should resign. David?
Martha Raddatz in Washington tonight. Martha, thank you. Tonight we're watching two hurricanes very close together right now off the East Coast. Hurricanes Humberto and Imelda and the so-called Fujiwara effect feeding off each other. Homes have already collapsed into the ocean, and tonight Lee Goldberg with the new track where they're both headed. But first, Victor Oquendo with the images for us.
Tonight, powerful waves fueled by Hurricanes Humberto and Imelda pounding the Outer Banks, sending multiple homes crashing into the Atlantic Ocean. Video from our station WVEC showing at least 5 homes toppling into the ocean within 45 minutes in Buxton, North Carolina. Massive piles of splintered debris strewn across the sand, the roof of one home resting in the surf. The storms delivering a final blow to some of these homes, all of them unoccupied and expected to eventually succumb to Mother Nature. For years, this area has grappled with devastating coastal erosion. This Buxton home crumbling into the water just 2 weeks ago. Back in August, officials in nearby Rodanthe told us they were concerned about these houses, completely exposed as a different hurricane, Aaron, made a glancing blow. In all, at least 17 homes have collapsed in the last 5 years.
David, there were no injuries. Part of that beach is now closed and visitors are being urged to stay away. David.
Victor Oquendo with us. Victor, thank you. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Lee Goldberg of WABC, timing both of these hurricanes with this new track. Hey, Lee.
Hi, David. And we're seeing an example of a rare phenomenon called the Fujiwara effect. And that's when two tropical systems that are close enough to each other interact. They do a tropical tango, if you will, and pull at each other. And in this case, Humberto is helping to tow Imelda out to sea, and it's headed toward Bermuda. Humberto's weakening, but Imelda's actually strengthening. Could be a Cat 2 as it approaches Bermuda as we go through tomorrow night, causing dangerous surf and gusty winds, even 1 to 2 inches of rain. Now remember, these storms have been in the Atlantic for quite a while, so they've been like plungers, and so rough surf will continue along the southeast coast for a few days with up to 10-foot waves and rip current risks up and down the eastern seaboard. It still feels like summer in the southeast, but not safe to swim. And by the way, we have a lot of cooling coming into the northeast. It'll feel like fall for the first day of October in the northeast. David?
By the way, we're grateful for that Fujiwara effect because it's pulling it right out to sea. Yeah, we liked hearing that, Lee. Thank you. The chilling new clues here tonight in that deadly shooting and fire at a Michigan church. 4 people killed, 8 others hurt. Tonight, those who knew the suspect now saying he had dated a woman of Mormon faith and that they broke up, and what he allegedly said after returning from Utah. Alex Perez from the scene in Michigan again tonight here.
Tonight, lifelong friends of the man police say carried out the deadly attack on a Mormon church in Michigan say he dated a Mormon woman and descended into heavy methamphetamine use while living in Utah. Peter and Francis Tersini say after alleged gunman Thomas Jacob Sanford's relationship ended with the woman and he returned to Michigan, he had changed. Peter Tersini says Sanford went on rants about Mormons, adding it was an absolute gut punch when he learned his friend is the man authorities say carried out the attack. Francis Tersini, writing in a Facebook post, that man that came back from Utah wasn't the same. He was a puppet, and the puppeteer was Satan. Police say the gunman, an Iraq War veteran, killed 4 people Sunday morning. And tonight, we're learning about one of the heroes inside the church. Greg McCatt's family telling ABC News he tried to stop the gunman. He was shot 3 times and remains in the ICU.
And David McCatt's family says he is facing a long road to recovery. Officials here say they are working around the clock to pinpoint a motive. David?
Alex Perez on this again tonight. Alex, thank you. Tonight, some of Hollywood's biggest names are sounding the alarm over a new actor, AI generated, made by artificial intelligence, and looking for work. Judge for yourself tonight. Here's Matt Gutman.
You've seen just about everything on the big screen, except this.
Tilly Norwood, 100% AI generated.
Tilly Norwood is an AI-generated actress gaining attention and drawing swift backlash as interest from a number of Hollywood talent agencies is growing. Eileen Vandervelden, who runs the company that created Tilly, said they will soon be in talks to have their AI character represented by a talent agency. Vandervelden once said she wanted the AI-generated actress to be the next Natalie Portman or Scarlett Johansson. Facebook and Instagram accounts for Tilly Norwood portray it as an aspiring actress, perfectly imperfect, down to the freckles and blemishes, with a British accent to boot.
Thanks for watching.
The notion that Vandervelden claims that talent agents were circling has drawn the wrath of Hollywood royalty. Emily Blunt telling Variety's Clayton Davis,
That's an AI.
Yes, that is a...
Good Lord. We're screwed. That is really, really scary.
And it's about to be signed.
Whoopi Goldberg spoke about the loss of a human connection.
Well, if you stick with this, with AI, you won't have any connection to anything but your phone.
Hollywood's powerful actors union SAG-AFTRA with a statement saying creativity is and should remain human-centered. The union is opposed to the replacement of human performers by synthetics. The use of AI-generated actors and voices was a main concern of actors during their historic strike in the summer of 2023. Tilly is the first creation from Sequoia, the world's first AI talent studio. Responding to the controversy, Vandervelden saying, like many forms of art before her, Tilly sparks conversation, and that in itself shows the power of creativity.
And David, Tilly's creator saying that those AI-generated actors are not meant to replace human performers, but rather should be thought of as a work of art. Some here in Hollywood already calling them an abomination, saying that they would boycott talent agencies that hire those so-called AI-generated actors. David.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of talk about this one. Matt Gutman tonight, thank you. Now to major news in the Sean Combs case tonight. Prosecutors telling the judge Combs should serve 11 years in prison, saying the violence and abuse associated with his crime should be taken into account. Defense attorneys calling the recommendation draconian. They're asking that Combs be sentenced to time served. He will be sentenced on Friday. When we come back here tonight, the big controversy, the New York Yankees throwing a curveball to Boston Red Sox fans. What's happening with the tickets? Also, the major breakup tonight. Actress Nicole Kidman filing for divorce from her husband, country music star Keith Urban. Kidman and what she revealed in her filing about the divorce. In a moment here. Tonight, news actress Nicole Kidman has filed for divorce from her husband, country music star Keith Urban. Kidman and what she says in her filing after nearly 20 years of marriage. Here's Kana Whitworth.
Tonight, the surprise announcement, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban ending their nearly 20-year marriage. Both superstars in their own right.
All marriages are complicated.
Kidman, an actress, businesswoman, and force in the entertainment industry, spoke often about her love for Urban, a force of his own in music.
Love somebody like you.
I'm so fortunate. I've met somebody that I'm incredibly in love with, and we don't ever take it for granted.
Urban honoring Kidman with his emotional tribute last year at the AFI Lifetime Achievement Awards.
She has a capacity to love like no one I've ever met.
Kidman filing for divorce today in Nashville. The couple share 2 teenage daughters together. This will be Kidman's second divorce after her high-profile breakup with Tom Cruise in 2001. Kidman joking with David Letterman at the time.
Well, I can wear heels now.
And David, in the documents filed today, Kidman says that they've undergone marital difficulties and irreconcilable differences. The couple's apparently been living apart since the beginning of the summer. David.
We wish them both well. Kana Whitworth tonight. Kana, thanks. When we come back here, a move by the Yankees that has some Boston fans furious tonight, the curveball when it comes to tickets, and the moment that's gone viral now, the woman who appears to take Patrick Mahomes' headband from a young fan, and what's now happened tonight in a moment. To the index of other news tonight, a landslide threatening homes in Southern California, parts of the coastal bluff plummeting into the ocean in Rancho Palos Verdes. No injuries were reported, and so far the homes have been spared. Homeowners have been plagued by landslides in that area in recent years. Tonight, the woman who went viral appearing to swipe Patrick Mahomes' headband from a young fan is now apologizing tonight. It happened at the end of the game between the New York Giants and Kansas City Chiefs. After initially defending her actions, Nina Miller, a Giants fan, now saying she mistakenly thought Mahomes was giving her the headband. She apologized directly to that 10-year-old Chiefs fan who was celebrating his birthday. He was not given the headband. Tonight, the New York Yankees taking extreme action, some say, to block ticket scalping. The Yankees are now blocking ticket sales on Ticketmaster outside New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Connecticut ahead of their playoff series against the Boston Red Sox. The team saying they have done this for several years. Game 1 of the 3-game wild card series gets underway tonight in the Bronx. But when we come back here tonight, America Strong this evening, what a grandson was determined to do for his grandfather. And wait until you see what he brought to life tonight. Finally tonight here, the grandson helping his grandfather bring some cherished love songs to life. America Strong. Tonight in Kennett Square, Pennsylvania, outside Philadelphia, the remarkable gift for a grandfather from his grandson. 17-year-old Mort Bloch joined the U.S. Navy in 1956. While on leave, he met a woman, Susan Weber, and immediately fell in love. Heading back to sea while standing watch on the USS Hazelwood, that young sailor would write a song about the woman he just met, calling it My Love.
I want you to know I yearn for you so.
They'd marry in 1960, start a family, and that song forgotten in a drawer for decades until that sailor's grandson, Matt, found it. Matt runs a record company with his brother Jake, and they professionally recorded their grandfather's song.
How happy we would be if you came back to me, my love.
Releasing that song, My Love, 64 years after it was written, set to a film from his grandparents' honeymoon in Miami Beach.
I yearn for you so.
The song going viral, and the family reading through all of the rest of the love letters written all those years ago. And tonight, a new song now, The Lonely Sea.
The lonely sea between you and me.
And right here tonight,
hi, David.
That proud grandson, Matt.
This is proof that love and hope and creativity can carry through generations, and we're more than grateful for the space in this moment.
And joining us too,
hi, David.
That Navy veteran, Grandpa Mort.
I'm just amazed at being an overnight success in my 80s.
And tonight, his message to his wife of 65 years, who has inspired all of this.
I love her very much, and I'm thankful to be able to bring this to you today. Thanks again, David. Really appreciate it.
Well, Mort, thank you for your service and your music. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
David
David Muir, the most watched newscast in America. And now, ABC's World News Tonight has won the Emmy for Best Live News Program for the third year in a row.